Ladies and gentlemen, the honorable adjudicators, we are living in a democratic country where freedom of expressions and freedom of information is granted by the constitutions as the manifestations of the Universal Declarations of Human Rights signed in 1948. And if we're talking about these motions, it is most likely taking place in a democratic country where all of those freedom of expressions and freedom of information are granted by the country itself. And the burden of proof from government side of the house is they need to prove you why then it is justified to propose their proposals and why it could lead into benefit. But as of closing oppositions, we do believe that they will never be able to prove to you why then it will be justified and it will give you benefit, because we think that there is no urgencies from proposing their proposals. The stance of closing opposition is very clear. We will not limit the internet access because there's no urgencies over there, and it will be better if we let everything just like the way we did in the current status quo. In this speech, I'm going to talk about three things. First, I'm going to engage in the possible worst scenario that will be given by the government side of the house. I'm going to prove you why then there is no urgencies from proposing their proposal. Second, I'm going to prove you why then by proposing their proposals it's only going to worsening the current status quo or all the progress that we have been made nowadays. And lastly, I'm going to prove you why by not limiting the internet access will be good for every layer of society and also for the nation itself. I'm going to give you the comparative on that point. Alright, on the first point, I'm going to engage with the worst scenario that will the possible worst scenario that will be given by the government side of the house. I'm going to prove you that there is no urgencies over there. The only possible reasons why government side of the house want to limit the internet access is because of the harm that might happen on how, for example, society are losing control on using the internet or the social media itself, on how, for example, society are spreading hoax related to coronavirus, for example, on how they might post some tweet that coronavirus doesn't exist and so on how, for example, society are throwing hate speech toward another one, on how they are humiliating someone, for example, and do such provocations in which can lead into tensions and frictions within society. And just let's say that is the possible worst scenario that given by the government side of the house. But we think that the check and balances or counterbalance is already exists in the current status quo. Two main actors that involve it, ladies and gentlemen. First actors is the internet or the social media company. The second one is the government. Notice how, for example, all of the social media companies like FB, like Instagram, like YouTube are doing censorships in their applications on how, for example, if you want to post something, there is a limitation like censorship and age limitations in order to protect the users itself. Also, also, notice how government also provide you the Undang-Undang ITE, for example, that prevents society from doing wrong things in internet or social media itself, like spreading hoax or humiliating someone. Through this Undang-Undang ITE, the victims could easily drag the offenders to the court and get punishment if they are proven guilty. And also, notice that the society right now is progressive enough to understand and to filter which information they have to receive, ladies and gentlemen. And we think that it is proof to you that there is no urgencies. All the harms that might deliver by the government side of the house are tackled down by this argument. Second, I'm going to prove you why by implementing the proposal will only worsening the current status quo. Notice that our world has been developed more and more, and nowadays every layer of this life are integrated with the technology and also the internet itself, especially when the industry 5.0 is rising up, right? Note how government are trying the best to boost the digitalizations through a lot of agenda. For example, on how government are making a program that called as Seribu Startup Digital, workshop on digital. They build the social community like Brugak Lombok to give educations and improve the digital literacy within the society. This is what we have done nowadays, ladies and gentlemen. And the moment you are going to limit the internet access is the moment you are going to hampering the progress that we have been made so far, ladies and gentlemen. What's the impact? Two bad impacts. It will create ambiguity on how, for example, government will be seen doing backlash to their agenda and very inconsistent to what they have been planned before, ladies and gentlemen. And this ambiguity will lead into a second impact, which is the government will losing trust from the society itself. Because of what? Because of the limitations, the basic needs of society are taken from all of those individuals, and society will not feel satisfied with the works of the government itself. That's the momentum that the government will losing trust from the society, and these actions will trigger society to opt out from the participations in many discussions, deliver their aspirations, and so on, and all of those bad things that will happen, ladies and gentlemen. And lastly, I'm going to prove you why then by not limiting the internet access will be good for the individual and also for the nation itself. Let's have a look I'm going to give you the comparative. Let's have a look in a country where internet is restricted by the government, like in the North Korea, for example. Let's have a look on the current situations in North Korea. They are less developed. They are isolated from the international community. They are left behind since they cannot follow the change and the good trends that happens in the international community right now. Their society or their human resources are very far away from improvement. This is a concrete example on how bad the restrictions is and the limitations of accessing the internet if we compare to the countries like USA, for example, who are giving the freedom of expressions and freedom of information. And I'm very proud to oppose. Thank you.